The rain lashed against the windows of Evermere Hall as Eleanor Hartley set down her embroidery, stretching her sore fingers. The evening was quiet, save for the crackling of the fire and the faint strains of pianoforte drifting from the drawing room. The master's son, James Montgomery, was playing, no doubt lost in one of his impassioned compositions. She smiled to herself. He had often told her that music was a solace, much as books were to her. Eleanor had been in service to the Montgomery family since she was a child, first as a companion to James's sister, Lydia, and later in the household as a governess. They had always treated her with kindness, though she never forgot her place. That did not stop her and James from forming a friendship, one that, to her secret despair, meant far more to her heart than she dared to admit. That night, fate struck cruelly. A sudden commotion shattered the tranquility of Evermere Hall. Eleanor had scarcely risen to her feet when rough hands seized her, a cloth pressed against her mouth. Her vision darkened and the world disappeared. James had never known fear as he did when he heard the news. A band of thieves had invaded their grounds, taking nothing but Eleanor. The reason soon became clear. She was to be sold into some depraved den of vice, her fate too horrific to contemplate. "We must find her," he declared, his voice shaking with fury. His father, Lord Montgomery, nodded. "I will hire the best men for the job." James clenched his fists. "I will go with them." His mother gasped. "James, no, it is dangerous." His father regarded him with quiet scrutiny. "Why do you insist?" James hesitated only a moment before speaking the truth. "Because I love her." A silence fell upon the room. Lord Montgomery exhaled, rubbing his brow. "It is unheard of for a man in your position to marry a servant." Then, to James's astonishment, his father's expression softened. "And yet, I cannot think of a finer woman for you." The pursuit was perilous, leading James and the hired men through treacherous roads and shadowed forests. They caught up with the thieves in an abandoned ruin, swords clashing in the moonlit night. James fought with desperation, his heart pounding with each strike. At last, the last of the villains fled, leaving Eleanor trembling in the corner, bound but unharmed. He rushed to her, untying her bonds with shaking hands. "James?" she whispered, eyes wide with disbelief. "You are safe now," he said hoarsely, gathering her into his arms. The morning sun bathed Evermere Hall in golden light as Eleanor awoke in her own bed. Before she could rise, there was a knock at her door. James stood there, his face filled with quiet determination. "Eleanor," he said, kneeling before her, "I have loved you for as long as I have known you, and if you will have me, despite what society may say, I would be the happiest man alive." Tears welled in her eyes. "Yes, James, 1,000 times, yes." And so, against all convention, love triumphed, as it was always meant to.